is the Rangers Journal Night.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Rangers Journal this evening. It's Tuesday night. Welcome to see the guys already early in the chat. Always good to see you coming in and saying hello. We've got a really interesting pod for you this evening with we've got an expert in to talk to us about one of our linked players, Kwame Poku. He's been very strongly linked with Rangers in the past sort of week or two, and it looks like it is a signing that will likely to be coming through the door. So we hope. It looks like a bright young player, and we'll be finding all about him tonight. Joining me is Mark as well. How are you doing this evening, Mark?
I'm not too bad, Dick. How are you?
I'm not too bad, thank you. Looking forward to our chat this evening. And then I'm very happy and thankful to welcome Charlie, who is joining us from the UpThePoshCast podcast, who's going to talk to us this evening about Poku. Welcome, Charlie.
Thank you guys for having me on. I'm excited to spill the beans on your new signing.
Hopefully, yes, indeed. Just before we start on Poku this evening, I'm sure most of you already know, but Rangers did actually announce finally some transfer action this evening, which was Lyle Cameron. Obviously, Lyle was signed on a pre-contract in January, and we've just kind of been waiting about for the official videos and the famous scarf picture to come up. So that did come out this evening. There's a couple of videos up on the Rangers YouTube channels and on RTV. If you haven't seen them already, I do recommend giving them a look. They're quite good videos. You get to see Lyle and his family getting to see the training ground and Ibrox for the first time, getting loads of photos done. And they've got a first interview with Cameron as well. We've got a little quote there where he's saying, to play for a club like this is a dream come true. I just can't wait to get started. I thought it was a really good interview. He talks really enthusiastically about the club. He seems like he's really excited to start. He's obviously a talented young Scottish player. Played really well for Dundee. Was a key part of their team last year, keeping them away from relegation. And I think a couple of solid goals and assists near the tail end of the season from Cameron really helped keep Dundee in the league. But now, of course, he is a Ger, and we can look forward to seeing his talents in the team next year. So, bit of news there on the signing front, just to touch on before we get into tonight's podcast. So, as I say, tonight our guest is Charlie from Up the Posh. He's also got a couple of other things that he's involved in. I've swiped from his account. Charlie, do you want to just give us a little intro to yourself, what you do, the type of stuff you're involved with, and of course your beloved club?
Yeah, obviously I'm one of 7 Up the Poshcast hosts, which I know people say that's a crazy amount for a podcast, but it works for us. We started last summer. I think we jinxed us basically because we had our worst season in recent memory after the podcast started. But yeah, we've been going strong, improving, we feel, day by day. And yeah, it's going really well. And obviously looking at what you've got up on the screen there. Also, I do a lot to do with power chair football. So my brother plays for England for power chair football. And that's given me opportunities to commentate on World Cups and European Championships and the Champions League and stuff. I'm actually going out to Paris on Monday to commentate on the Club World Cup. So
very nice.
Yeah, that's what Aspire PFC is, if anyone was wondering. Scotland do have a team. I think they might have qualified for the Euros in September, so keep an eye out for that. But yeah, it's a great sport, and yeah, that's a bit about me. But yeah, Up the Poshcast is the main thing. That's why I'm here tonight, and just I love this football club, family club, local, my local team. Yeah, it was a no-brainer to support Posh for me, really.
Good stuff. I do recommend folk have a wee look at the Aspire X/Twitter page. I had a wee look at this earlier this evening. There's some really good stuff there, linked to their website. It looked really interesting. The cards themselves look pretty sturdy. I imagine there's some interesting quote unquote tackles and stuff. But yeah, it looked really good. So definitely recommend people have a look at that for something different. Tonight, obviously, we're going to talk about Kwame Poku. We had a wee look at him in one of our pods last week. We did a sort of a general transfer roundup of the stuff we were of the players that we've been getting linked with, of which Poku was one, and did a little surface level stuff here. Just to start off, before we kind of get into some specifics, as I say, Mark's going to dive in a bit deeper after this little intro on him with you. But I just wanted to start us off with, if you can give us like a general idea of the type of Poku, the type of player that Poku is. I know he's been with you guys for a couple of seasons now. I think he signed around about 2021, and kind of came in and then was taken out of the team a bit and then put back in, and he's kind of gone from strength to strength since then. So yeah, if you just want to, as I say, touch on in general the type of player he is, and how he's sort of helped the team.
No, he's a massively exciting player. That's the first thing I'll say. He is the kind of player that gets you off your seat as a fan. He's the kind of player you want to watch as a fan. He's passionate when he plays. You know, he really gives his all for the club and for the badge, no matter what the game is. We signed him as a very young player for quite a significant fee just after we got promoted to the championship. He played a lot of games for our under-21s to begin with, and made a couple of first-team appearances. And then sort of really caught the eye when we came back down to League One. That's when he started playing on a consistent basis. We signed Efron Mason-Clark at the time as well, which was, you know, a match made in heaven, really, with Mason-Clark on one wing and Kwame Poku on the other. Mason-Clark obviously now has gone to Coventry and is smashing it there. Poku was sort of second fiddle to him for a couple of seasons, but then this season he was sort of really asked to step up, and that's what he's done. He is sort of the main man now, and he has been for the entire season. He's star man. He's got that sort of star quality. He's got a moment of magic. He's tricky. He can dribble with the ball. He can go both ways, cutting inside and out. He scores goals. He contributes assists. You know, in League One, you know, teams put 3 or 4 players on him specifically to mark him, and he still gets, you know, a lot of change out of League One left backs. He's a very, very good player. You guys, I think, are getting an absolute gem here.
Sounds good. I'm going to pick up a quick question in the chat here. I know this is a bit of a sore one for the Posh fans, but Smoke's asking, will there be a development fee? Because it's a cross-border transfer, I believe the fee is around about 300,000. So it's similar to players we've bought previously, like Calvin Bassey and Joe Aribo. Is something we've looked to try and leverage for the club. So that would be around about what the fee was. If it had been a transfer between English clubs, which I know the guys would prefer, it'd be a tribunal fee, and they'd likely get much more money because he is a valuable player. So as I say, that's a sore one for the guys, unfortunately, but a positive for Rangers. So as I say, probably about 300,000 thereabouts, I believe, is the fee. I don't know if there's a huge amount of variability to that or not, but I believe it's around about that. So just pick up on that question. If you do have questions for Charlie, then do throw them in the chat. We'll be picking them up at the end. We'll get all the questions in from you guys. So do pop them in the chat. I'll be starring the questions as we go, and we'll pick up anything that's not been touched on at the end of the video. Okay, but I'll throw over to Mark now to carry on, so that I can eagle eye the chat as we go.
Brilliant, thank you, and thanks first of all, Charlie, for joining us this evening. I do have a few questions which I'm sure is on everybody's mind, and the first one that kind of springs to mind is in terms of Poku's physicality. Obviously, he's kind of playing in League One at the moment, not described as the most kind of technical league. Obviously, we're coming up to Scotland, we're up against big defenders and stuff like that. Just really interested to see your view in terms of his physicality, Charlie.
Yeah, it's a good question, and I think it's a fair question to ask, because that is going to be one of the key differences, I think, for him. I would have been worried about his physicality 12 months ago, but he actually, I think, looked a lot stronger physically this season. He was doing a lot of gym work last summer. If he can do the same again this summer, he's got quite, he's quite well balanced. He's got very good balance, a low center of gravity. He's not going to be winning you loads of headers. That's not his game at all. But he can certainly hold his own. I wouldn't see him getting bullied by anyone. He's strong when he's got the ball. He can hold the ball up. He can sort of pin a defender and get the ball into his feet. Yeah, it's not the best part of his game, but in terms of he has a great sort of natural physicality. And if he works hard in the gym again this summer, as he did last year, I don't think he'll have a massive issue adjusting to the physicality of the league at all.
Yep, thanks for that. Another question I've probably got is in terms of also when Rangers play the opposition here in Scotland, we tend to come up against a low block a lot of the time, especially when we play at home at Ibrox. In terms of Poku, would he have the ability to help us kind of break that low block down? I don't know if Peterborough come up against that very often in the league.
Yeah, so last season we didn't really, because we were one of the worst teams in the league. So we were the low block team. But the season before that, we finished 4th, and we were the best attacking side in the league on our day, without a doubt. And so we came up against low blocks a lot. And yeah, he definitely has the quality to unpick a low block. He's got, the quality to shoot from the edge of the box, which always keeps people aware. And what is great about him is once he drags that ball wide, he can cut back inside, but he also has a bit of a trademark skill, which I'm sure you'll see, where he does sort of like a ball roll thing, where he rolls his foot over the ball as if he's going to shoot, and then he takes it inside, and it's caused some really awkward positions for defenders where they sort of ankles going everywhere. He is very versatile in terms of how he plays. Obviously, he's fantastic in a counter-attacking system because he's quick and he makes good decisions a lot of the time, and he's good running at defenders. But also against a low block, he's got that little bit of trickery and that nuance to his game that should help you break teams down. I don't think he'll have an issue. It may be frustrating for him at first, but I think once he finds the level and understands where he's going to get space in that league, then he'll have no issue at all.
I think while you're kind of touching on the counter-attack stuff there, I think that probably brings me great into my next point. Where he'll find a bit of variation up here is when we play in Europe. A lot of the time when we play either Europa League teams or hopefully Champions League teams this season, we'll find ourselves probably being in a bit of a low block at times, especially away from home. And I think he can really kind of fit that system well. So that's really encouraging. That obviously he's really quick and can kind of counter-attack and stuff. So that's absolutely great. How do you think he'll be able to handle the step up to European football?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think he'll cherish it. He's a guy who has always appeared to me like he loves playing football, and he wants to play at the highest level. There's been rumours of crazy money that he's been offered this season by teams in the Championship in England, which, damn, he's not taking it. But he clearly is going to Rangers because he wants to play at the highest level, and he wants to play for a massive club, and he wants to play in European football. And I think he'll be fine. I think he'll be absolutely fine. I think that the pressure has never really got to him. In fact, in the biggest pressure games for us, when we've played our biggest rivals at home, for example, when we played Cambridge at home, which is, our version of the old firm, I guess. When we've played Cambridge at home, he scored a hat-trick. So no pressure there. And in the highest pressure games, he tends to be the one that sort of makes diamonds. So I wouldn't be concerned about him stepping up mentally. Physically, I think he'll take a little while to adjust, but he'll be okay. I think he has the ability. I honestly think he's going to be a very, very good signing for you in all regards. And I think European football is what a lot of players dream of playing. And so I think he will be especially on it when he gets to play in European competitions for the first time.
Absolutely. And I think it's one we're all excited for, Charlie, if it does take place. It's one we've been speaking about now for about a few weeks, and hopefully that does come to fruition. In terms of his attributes and what he brings, how would you compare him in terms of what type of play style has he got compared to other wingers out there, if we had to kind of look at the wide range of players that are out there?
Yeah, I think he's very skillful. He's not weak, though. I'm trying to find the best comparison for him. He's quick, but he's not... Like, that's not his outstanding attribute. Physically, he's all there, but his main thing is his skill, and that is taking players on. That is little like deceitful movements and quick feet, getting inside the pitch. That's the one thing he loves to do. Is he loves to be able to get inside a defender and sort of have a run at the edge of the penalty area. And that's where he scores a lot of his goals as well, sort of curling one in from the edge of the box. That's the kind of player you're getting. You're getting a player that is always going to look first to beat his man And if he can't do that, then he'll sort of turn back and play it back. He's not stupid, but he will always be very front-footed. He's very aggressive. He's the kind of player that you want in a team, you know, like Rangers, that you want to sort of be hungry and chasing every ball and constantly thinking you're sort of better than the player up against, especially when you're one of the best teams in the league. And I think he sort of has that attitude, that actually, because even when we played against Man City in the FA Cup a couple of years ago, and after not starting at all, really, he started in the number 10 position, and he was taking on Ruben Diaz, Emerick Laporte, like they were just, you know, the regular League One centre halves he plays against. He shows no respect to anyone. He's a fantastic winger in that regard. He's really aggressive, really front-footed, always looking to make something happen. And I think that will sort of suit the style of Rangers in the Scottish Premiership really well, actually.
Yeah. One thing I actually personally haven't looked at, Charlie, is his injury history. What does that look like over the last kind of 2-3 years?
Yeah, so he's actually he's been okay up until this season. And the good thing about Poku is he's not really a niggly injury kind of player. He's not one that misses the odd game here and there because he's got soreness and stuff. Like, you know, you get those frustrating players that they just randomly get injured in training and they're out for 2 weeks again. He's not really like that. He missed 3 and a bit months for us this season because he injured, I think it was his Achilles he injured in a game at home against Burton. It was really innocuous. He sort of went to challenge the goalkeeper for the ball. I think got a bit of a kick on the bottom of his foot or something, and he missed 3 months, which was horrific for our season. But generally, he's okay. He's not a player that I'd be particularly worried about injuries wise, and he's had quite a long summer break. He didn't. Once we were safe in the league and we had our cup final at Wembley, he didn't really play for us again. So he has had a long break to get himself ready for the move this summer. So I'd expect him to come back and be very fit indeed.
Brilliant. If you had to pick one of his biggest strengths and one of his biggest weaknesses, what would they be, Charlie?
I think his biggest strength is his ball carrying ability, and sort of alongside that, sort of just the showmanship that he shows. He is a proper entertaining footballer. That's his biggest strength. That's what you'll get really excited about to do with him. I'd say he doesn't really have any glaring weaknesses. Defensively, he's not great, but he has improved at that. But I do worry for him in games where against, for example, Celtic, when he's going to have to track back a lot. I do worry that, you know, the quality of Celtic may cause him issues, and he's not great positionally defensively. But that might just be because we don't really play a very rigid defensive structure, and so he's not used to it. But we'll see. But he's got the physical attributes for it, and he's a very intelligent footballer. He's got a very good head on his shoulders. So I think I don't think there really are any glaring weaknesses. I think it would be unfair for me to say that he's got any issues that really need to be looked at.
Yep, no, absolutely. How is he viewed by the fans at Peterborough?
Oh, he is massively popular. He has been since really he broke into the team. No Poku, no party is sort of the phrase that's used by all the fan base, and it's sung. They sing his name. Yeah, he is loved. We're frustrated now that he's not going. If he goes to Scotland, he'll get a couple of, bad words, especially from the chairman, Darren McAntony. We had a situation where Ricky J. Jones, who is an academy prospect, went to the Bundesliga literally on Saturday, and that has caused us a big issue because of this compensation thing that Doug already mentioned. So I'm not, I think he might get a little bit of stick if he goes to you guys, because it is properly, I reckon we'll be entitled, McAntony reckons we'd be entitled to 3 to 4 million in compensation for him, which obviously goes down to 300k. 3 to 4 million is our transfer budget, basically. So it is causing us a massive issue if he goes across the border, which is looking like he's going to do it. But he'll go with the best wishes of the fans. He's been a fantastic servant. He is arguably single-handedly the reason why we stayed up in League One this season. I mean, we wish him well. He's been very good for us. He's always given his all for the club, even when, you know, it's been clear that he's had a move and bigger things on his mind. Yeah, he'll be wished well.
Super. Doug, anything you want to ask?
Good stuff. Well, I've got some questions from the chat that have been coming in as you have been chatting there. As I say, guys, if you do have any questions you want to ask Charlie about Poku, do throw them into the chat now. We'll get them done for you now. So the first one I've got here is from Paul, which I think we've kind of maybe touched on a little bit in terms of his style of play. But Paul's asking, is he the type of player that rather likes to shoot when he gets into positions forward, or does he more like to look for a pass and set someone up for a goal?
No, he's shooting every time. If there's any chance that he can sort of curl it into that far corner, he is going for that. That is the only thing with Poku. And I mean, he's very good at it, but he does, when he's playing well, he sort of gets, I don't know, like main character sort of energy where he thinks that the game's all about him all of a sudden, and he becomes very, very sort of blinkers on, which, I mean, when he's in the zone, that's amazing. But yeah, he can if he can shoot, he's going to shoot no matter what options he has available to him.
There was apologies for who asked it, because I seem to have lost it now, but there was a question as well that it kind of builds on some of what we touched on earlier. But Rangers are a very pressured environment. He will be expected to play well every single game. Draws are a disaster, and he'll feel that both on and off the pitch. The level of expectation, particularly because we've been so deprived of success in recent years. Do you think his mentality has got what it takes to step up to that kind of regular pressure?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, obviously it's a different scale, but he's been involved in 2 promotion races with us already, heavily involved. There was, one season, his sort of breakout season, where we literally had to win pretty much every game from January to the end of the season, or the vast majority of games to get in the playoffs, and we snuck in on the final day, and he had a big part in that. And then last season, obviously, we missed out on promotion in the playoffs, but he was a massive part of the entire season, and we were challenging at the top. So he knows how to play in environments where you basically have to win every game. He's used to that. This is, I know last season was a bit different, but usually we're a club that competes at the top. And so, yeah, I don't think, obviously the weight of the fan base is a completely different thing. He's going to be going from playing in front of 8,000-9,000 to, 50,000 on a regular basis, which is the only thing that will maybe cause him an issue, but I don't see it happening. I think, the noise, if anything, will spur him on.
Yeah, we've got another question from RC72 here. Well, this isn't actually a question per se, but I just wanted to touch on it. It mentions the attention defenders give Poku is a big strength, occupying 2 or 3 defenders at a time. You touched on that yourself when you talked about multiple players marking him. Is that something he relishes, and is he able to beat those players when he gets that, or is it something that he's had any trouble with when he's been sort of maybe doubled up on in games?
Well, I think for the first little bit, before he starts banging goals for you, he'll be free, which will be a big mistake from teams. He won't be as heavily marked, but as soon as he starts scoring, it happened with us, they'll be all over him like a rash. And yeah, he can do it. As long as you've got players that are creative enough to find him in quickly, if you need to transition quickly and you need to get the ball forward quickly, if you give the opposition team a chance to get those 3 players literally encircling him, then he's not going to be able to do anything. But if you transition the ball to him quickly, get him a chance to isolate 1 or 2 players, yeah, he'll be fine. He's used to it now, and that's probably one of the best things about this season. He's been basically our only good player, so teams have been sticking 3 or 4 players on him at all times, and yeah, he's been absolutely fine with it. If you want to see the example of it, look at our highlights of the Virtue Trophy final against Birmingham, and we won a free kick earlier in the game, and I think he ran through 4 or 5 players just like on his own because they were all going after him, and it just didn't bother him. So yeah, he's used to it, and I think and even if he's not, you guys have got enough quality in other areas of the pitch, hopefully, that if he's occupying 3 defenders, that's going to leave some space for someone else to go and take up. So yeah, it's a win-win.
Okay, we've got another quick question from Smoke here. I think I could probably answer this one for them. Why are they letting them go? They're not by choice. He is unfortunately out of contract, and so, as I say, that's why he's available for the sort of just the cross border fee, or or if he does end up somewhere in England, the tribunal fee. So he's not going by choice. I'm sure the guys would love to keep him. So yeah.
We supposedly offered him one of the biggest contracts or the biggest contract we've ever offered a player to stay, and it wasn't even close. Like, it wasn't even considered, apparently. So yeah, we tried our best, but he was always going to leave this summer.
So, well, I mean, that in itself is incredibly high praise. If you're offering that kind of deal. Also from Smoke, you touched on this earlier on. Smoke's asking about injury issues. I know he was out for a chunk of time this season. What type of injury was that?
Yeah, sorry, I said Achilles. I was thinking of someone else. This was a hamstring injury he had this season, which I can't remember whether he had an operation or not, but it was serious. He was out for a good few months, but it's not something that reoccurred later on in the season. He played the rest of the season fine, and it's not something that's, I think, a theme. So I think he's okay. It was just a bit of a freak injury, happens sometimes. But other than that, he's been okay with injuries in his career, to be honest. He got another one, a little knock towards the end of last season. The season before that, he got a knock from January, and was out for a little while. And we had to sign players to replace him because he was that much of a miss. And he missed a couple of games towards the tail end of the season as well, including he couldn't start a playoff game. So he's got a couple of injuries, but he's not I wouldn't say he's injury prone.
That will be music to Rangers fans' ears. We have had a fair bit of trouble with injury prone players in the last few years. So that's one of the big first questions that comes to any fan's mind when we're talking about new signings. I've got one here from Scotty, the man with the plan when it comes to Rangers Journal. From your end, have you got kind of any info on how far the deal might be done in terms of coming to Rangers, or information about other teams that be in for him? I think I've heard Birmingham are another one that's been touted. Just kind of from your side of things, what is it that you've been hearing about him in terms of transferring?
Listen, I'm no Fabrizio Romano, so I don't have any sort of insider track on the deal. But what I would say is he's leaving, and Darren McAntony is absolutely stressing by the looks of things, which probably suggests to me that Poku's not going to the Championship. He's had offers. Supposedly, Birmingham offered him 30 grand a week. I don't know if that's true, but that's what was rumoured. Ipswich have been rumoured to be in for him. Pretty much every team in the Championship has been linked with his name at some point over the last sort of 2 years. But yeah, the fact that Dara put a tweet out the other day, our chairman basically being trying to persuade Poku to go to Birmingham, saying that he'd been mental not to go to Birmingham, and that the only reason he's not going to go to Birmingham is because his agent doesn't think Birmingham are going to get top 6 next season. Yeah, I think I don't have any insider track, but I think the fact that the club are getting so stressed about it probably shows that he's not going to England.
Okay, we've got another question here from Paul, who's asking, how do you feel Poku would fit into a Russell Martin system?
Yeah, I think pretty well. Russell Martin is a manager who likes to get individual quality out of players. I saw with Tyler Dibling this season at Southampton, he gave him a lot of freedom off the wing to sort of roam and do what he wanted to do. So Russell Martin's a guy that is really appreciated by Posh, really appreciated, former player, good ties with the club. Yeah, I think he's a great guy to go. And I think if Darren McAntony didn't have his sort of business head on, he'd probably be saying, yeah, actually, if Poku goes and plays under Russell Martin, he'll develop fantastically.
Good stuff. And kind of as an extension of that, what kind of, in terms of tactical systems, what has he been used to? What have you guys been playing over the last sort of season?
4-2-3-1 with him on the right, basically. So playing as quite a high right winger most of the time. Sometimes he plays in the 10, so he plays behind 2 strikers and sort of is a bit more of a maverick. But usually it's that wide right position, cutting in onto his left foot. Yeah, that's what he's used to. We pass the ball a lot. We're a team that like to be high up in the possession stats. Not as much last season because we were terrible, but in seasons prior to that, we've always been a team that zips the ball around, and so that'll suit Russell Martin's style as well. So yeah, I think he's used to the sort of system that he'll be playing in at Rangers, definitely.
Charlie, I do have one question. We obviously speak about him being a right winger who cuts in his left foot. What's his capabilities like to play on the left? Has he ever played on the left for Peterborough?
Sometimes, when managers get fed up and try and do weird stuff. Fergie likes to, our manager Darren Ferguson likes to sometimes swap the two if he wants sort of players running around the outside rather than cutting inside. So he's gone over there for little stints. I can't think of many times where he's started a game on the left wing, but he probably can do it because he's got an absolute wonderful left foot and his right foot's not bad either. So yeah, he'd be able to do it, but his best position is the right 100%.
I think I did see someone in the comment asking, I've got it here, asking which side he is. I believe he's two-footed. Is he pretty comfortable on both feet?
He is two-footed, and he has that ability, as I've said, to go both ways. But he definitely does prefer the left foot. That is his foot of choice. It's a bit of a wand of that left foot, bending shots into the top corner. So yeah, if he can, he'll cut in onto his left. But if he needs to go down the line and cross with his right, he can do it. And I'm not sure what school he went to.
So that's a very specific question from there. Shout out here to Peaceful Warrior. Thank you very much for the paid chat there. It's just saying that Charlie, you're speaking very well. So being appreciated by the Rangers family there, Charlie.
I appreciate that.
Definitely second that. Thank you very much, as I say, Peaceful Warrior, for the paid chat. That's very, very much appreciated. Okay, what have we got next? William is asking, does he have a good first touch?
He does have a very good first touch. His ball control is second to none, really, in terms of what I've seen at the club. Yeah, he can trap the ball. He's very good at knowing when to sort of take a big first touch in front of him to be able to run at a defender and when to sort of trap it and try and work with it a bit cuter. His first touch is very good. And I mean, the service has to be decent, but he can definitely make something out of nothing in terms of a bit of a loose pass that he latches onto and he can make something happen.
Good stuff. RFC here with another question asking, what do you think Poku's ceiling is? I know there's been a lot of talk about him, possibly moving to the Championship. That was a destination for this transfer window. Has there been a lot of talk about him being a future Premiership player? Is that somewhere you think he'll end up in the future if his career continues sort of on the rise it's been?
Yeah, I think he can play at the highest level. I think he has the technical ability and the physical attributes to play there. I think mentally he's there as well. So yeah, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if he is a very good player for Rangers and then gets a move to the Premier League in England if it all goes well, because I think he has the talent to do so. It's just whether he applies himself and whether he adapts mentally to the higher pressure side of the game.
I think the one thing for us that we can kind of agree on is it really suits our transfer policy in terms of kind of a young player with a lot of potential. And obviously you're talking about his ceiling there, Charlie. If it is the Premier League he's destined for, then I'm quite sure Rangers would cash in on him within 2 or 3 years and hopefully make more money back. We're getting him for nothing, so make 100% profit on whatever we sell him for.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pain, isn't it? We get nothing after all the development. But yeah, no, he's a player that is very easily developed, and the coaching at Rangers and sort of the atmosphere for players to come through at Rangers. Yeah, seen some very good players come through and are now playing at the highest level. And I think Poku could be the next one. I don't want to sort of stitch Poku up here by being too optimistic about him and giving you guys crazy high expectations, but I would be excited if I was a Rangers fan about this transfer. I think he fits the bill in many ways.
They're already very high, Charlie. They're already.
As I say, I enjoy getting excited about a player, so that's fine. I have no problems with that. Paul's asking here, do you think he'll have any issues settling in? Does he take time? Did he take time when he settled in with you guys? Is that something you think he'll find that change easy to do in the kind of broader sense, not just on the pitch?
It's a tough one because we didn't really see him have to sort of make a quick transition. He was brought in as very much like a young prospect for the future when we signed him, and he had sort of a year of getting his bearings and playing under 21s games and making like cameos in the first team. So I don't know, is the truth. He seems pretty popular in the changing room. He's a pretty cool character, I don't think he really has ever fallen out with someone. And I don't think, he lives a crazy lifestyle. I mean, I don't know the guy personally, but he doesn't seem to be one of the players that is out drinking. He seems to keep himself to himself quite a lot. So I don't imagine he'll have a huge issue adapting to life in Scotland.
I've heard, well, sort of looking into some stuff earlier today, that you've got a couple of players who are quite active on social media. Is Poku a guy like that? We've had a few guys in the past who've been a bit smart with their social media, which hasn't really endeared them to fans at times. Is he someone that would fall foul of that at all?
Yeah, I've had my fair few back and forth with one of our players on social media last season, but no, Poku keeps himself to himself, really. I think he is on social media, like he has a Twitter account, but I don't think he ever really uses it, and he only uses Instagram to do the usual footballer thing of like posting the photographer's pictures and stuff. I don't think he's particularly active. He doesn't engage with the fans on social media, and when he does interviews, they're relatively sort of not robotic, but they're very non-controversial. He doesn't really say anything out there. So yeah, it's, he's not a player devoid of personality, but also I don't think you have that issue with him, to be honest.
That's actually a major strong point, Charlie. Sorry to jump in there in terms of the media train, because anything you say up here as a Rangers player can certainly be twisted or fabricated to something that it's not. So that's actually really good to hear that he's not going to get involved in any kind of shenanigans.
You don't even need to say anything. Just like those general videos of highlights of things. People will get raging about those. You don't even need to say anything. But I've gotten through the majority of our questions now, guys. So if you do have anything else for Charlie, do get it into the chat. Quick save. Don't want to let him go. If you have any burning questions still to ask him, I thought I'll throw a little bit of a reverse question, a backwards question. I don't know. At you. I don't know how familiar you are with the Rangers team at the moment, but if you were to take any Rangers players down south, is there anyone that sticks out in your mind that you would like to have if money wasn't an option?
Yeah, it's a good question. Probably Raskin. He's been linked with some very big clubs this summer, hasn't he? So I think he'd probably be the one for me. We need a new midfielder because one of our starting one has gone off to Watford. So yeah, we'll take him. Thank you. But to be honest, we'll take anyone we can get. Any defender who can head a football, that would be great. Or actually just control a football. Any defender that can play football would be an improvement on what we had last season. So if you've got any of those to send down to us, do it. Don't send us Dessers. We missed enough open goals last season. We don't need any more of that, thank you. So maybe don't give us him, but anyone other than Dessers, and yeah, we'll take him. Send him down.
We've certainly got a few, Charlie, that we could offload.
I think the fans would happily give you Ben Davies if you're looking for a defender. Rabbi Matondo's been championed in the chat. That was what gave me the idea for the question. But I don't think you want him. He'll spend more time on your treatment room than on the pitch, unfortunately. But hey ho. Mark, have you got anything else you want to kind of go through with Charlie before we finish off?
I think we've kind of covered a lot of the main points in terms of his mentality and the type of player we're going to be getting. I think it's really exciting in terms of the prospect. I don't think we've had an out-and-out tricky winger since Ryan Kent, and just hopefully he can be just as consistent as Ryan was. But no kind of other questions for me, Doug, at the moment.
Okay, I've got one more come up here from Scott. I'll rephrase this one slightly to: do you think Rangers is a good place for him to reach his potential? If we put aside the monetary factors that I think would sway you in this answer, do you think Rangers is a better option for him than going to a championship team? Or
yeah, it's a tough one. Obviously, the money thing is quite an issue for me. Like, I don't want to say anything that I don't want to be in any way responsible because I don't want us to get relegated. But all of that aside, I don't know. We actually had this debate in the podcast group chat the other day. What is a better place for him to go? Because I assume his ambition is to play in the Premier League, because young players playing in England, that is just their ambition, isn't it? They want to play in the Premier League football. And I assume he also, as a Ghanaian, wants to be a key player for the Ghanaian national team as well. I think it's much of a muchness, to be honest. I don't know, because I think if he went to a smaller championship club or a championship club with a bit less expectation, he would be obviously under less pressure. But also pressure makes diamonds to an extent, and you want to play for a big club. Yeah, see, this is what I mean. That's the official podcast account. Ashley's monitoring it, and he says Rangers, but we've got other people in the group chat that weren't so sure. I'm a bit on the fence. I'm like, there's a chance that the pressure could be the making of him, but also there's always the flip side that it could break him as well. Probably the least risky move is to go to a championship club, because that's what Peterborough do. We buy players from the National League and League Two and we sell them to the Championship. That's what we do all the time. But if he wants to go for a little bit of a different route and play for what is a fantastic football club in Rangers, then fair play to him. He will. I think he's made a good decision. I think going abroad, especially with to be fair, your media isn't much better than ours, but playing outside of sort of the Premier League and the Championship, the media attention, God, it's horrific. Like, you can't do anything, can you? Maybe he'll be allowed to be a bit more of a human being up in Glasgow than he would be if he was at a Championship club.
Yeah, I think from their point of view, the trade-off, certainly from our perspective, you've got the huge fan base that you can play in front of, 50,000 every other week, and European football, which I think is obviously a draw for players. And then with the Championship, you've got the better all-round regular quality, perhaps, of football. You'll earn more money, certainly. So I guess it's kind of that trade-off, what the players want in terms of their career plan. Players can come up, win themselves a couple of things, potentially, obviously get that European games, and then go and do the rest. Like Joe Aribo has had an okay time at Southampton, I think, having scored a goal in a European final prior to that. So, you can get things like that at Rangers that you can't get, I think, if you're playing in the Championship. But, it can go both ways, I think, for that. So, okay, doke. Let's just check the last couple of things. Have we got any final questions before we finish up? I think we're okay. You're getting quoted for your pressure makes diamonds. That's been a popular one there. So
God, I feel like I'm going to stitch Poku up. Like, I'm going to, every time we put in a bad performance, everyone's going to be posting pressure makes diamonds. I feel terrible.
That's fine. We'll forget about it. Cool. Okay. Well, as I say, we're very pleased to have had you on this evening, and chat to you. It's been great to get the details on Poku from your side. Again, do you want to, as I say, take a bit of time, just shout out the stuff that you do, shout out your team, and why if Rangers fans are looking for a League One team, why should it be Peterborough United?
I think, first of all, I'd just like to say, Up the Poshcast, I'm on Up the Poshcast, Ash is on Up the Poshcast. We both have an affinity to Rangers. So, if you're looking for a podcast on League One football, because why wouldn't you be? Go for it. Listen, I'm not going to lie. The Irish owner does not help, but we'll ignore that.
On the upside, if everyone comes for you because he's been poor, then that's loads of interaction with the podcast. So
yeah, listen, we've had beef with pretty much every club under the sun this season. We had Wrexham and Birmingham at our throats all season, so we quite like a good relationship with Rangers. But yeah. We're a fantastic club. It's a roller coaster. It's never a boring season with Peterborough United. If you're looking for a club that could finish anywhere between 24th and 1st in any given season, which you can't really say that for a lot of clubs, this is Peterborough United. Next season right now, we could get relegated with a record low points, or we could win the league, and we don't know. And that's one of the magic parts of it. Very unpredictable. So yeah. We're a fantastic club to support, and I wouldn't have it any other way. We're not big, but yeah, we produce fantastic players like Poku, and yes, it's great entertainment. And just from our part, obviously, Up the Poshcast, give it a watch, give it a listen. We've reviewed many of Kwame Poku's performances over the season, and we did a season review as well, where we sort of talked about the season as a whole and Poku's part in that. And we did an episode on sort of Poku leaving as well, and the players that were leaving the club. So yeah, go check all of that out. It's all on Up the Poshcast on socials. And yeah, I hope there's some stuff on there that you guys find exciting for your potentially very exciting new acquisition.
Absolutely. I did watch a couple of the guys' pods, your Player of the Season awards, and one of your transfer pods earlier on today. Was good stuff, guys. They've, as I say, they're. You said you just started a year ago, but you would not know from watching it. It's really good stuff. So if you are interested, do go and give them a look, give them a like and a follow. If you're interested in following their journey for the season, as Charlie says, it sounds like it could be an exciting one. You never know what will happen. What's your hopes for the season, Charlie? Going into the new year, what is it you're hoping for them to do?
Well, we've lost Ricky J. Jones money. We've lost Hector Cipriani money. We're now looking to lose Kwame Poku money. So hopefully we won't go bust and we'll stay in the league. That's my current aspiration. Obviously, if we make one good signing, then I'll suddenly be predicting us to finish in the playoffs again. Such is life. But yeah, no, I think right now just stay in the division, please. We don't want to go down to League Two, and then we'll sort out whatever mess we have next summer.
Okay, so I think that's just about covered everything then. Mark, is there anything else you'd like to touch on before we finish?
No, I'd just like to say a big thanks to Charlie for giving us his time this evening to talk about Poku. And I was going to say I'm sorry for taking him for nothing, but with the sounds of it, he'll be a great acquisition for Rangers, and I'm sure we'll look after him and develop him the best we can.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And there you go, up the podcast there. So the Cambridge episode after they won 6-1 and Poku scored a hat-trick is a good one. So if you are wanting some more Poku info straight from the guys, go check out that episode of their show. So I'll just echo what Mark said. Thank you very much, Charlie, for joining us this evening. It's been really good to talk to you. And all the best with the podcast and indeed the season as it comes up. Yeah,
and I hope something weird doesn't happen and Poku doesn't actually join now. Otherwise, that was a waste of an evening, wasn't it, guys? So hopefully he does come to you. And yeah, I hope you have a good season as well.
No, never a waste to have a good chat with football. Never a waste, but thank you. Just leaves me to say thank you to our sponsors, Off to the Match I Go. If you go to UpToTheMatchIGo.com, you can get loads of bespoke football items, loads of great stuff. Gifts and presents. I know a couple of people who just picked up a few things for Father's Day. So if you've got any maybe birthdays or something coming up and you're looking for something interesting to get, pop off to their website. You can get 10% off by putting Journal 10. That's Journal capital JOURNAL 10 in at the checkout. And you can go straight to the website by scanning the QR code in the corner as well. My voice is held out for the whole podcast, which I've been very happy about. So it just leaves me to say goodbye, and do not forget that every night it's a Rangers Journal night. Thank you.